Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Not for Time podcast. I'm Sean Woodland,
And I'm John Wooley.
and today we are talking to Sabrina Schoenberg. We'll get to that in a second, tell you all about her. But John, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, recovering from all that travel the last week between going to Columbus for the games and then some work travel. So I'm getting my life back together.
Yeah, I'm finally back on the nutrition bandwagon too. I mean, when I was
Oh,
just like any port in a storm, I had a lot of acai bowls, a couple trips to Jenny's, some of those
dude,
tacos that we had. That was like it was good. But now I've been back on the straight and narrow for a week, so I'm feeling good. Worked out a couple times, so yeah, it's I feel like I'm back to normal.
I may have had one or 10 too many margaritas at that taco place across from the hotel.
Yeah, I know.
Babe,
Oh, the place is good, man.
it was
Uh,
great.
Well, today I mentioned we're talking to Sabrina Schoenberg. She has a condition that's called Rhombencephalosynapsis, and she'll get into that. It affects her balance, her coordination. It can be anxiety inducing as well. Despite that, she has become a champion ballroom dancer. She is a very accomplished adaptive CrossFit athlete. She has a great story, and that's why we wanted to have her on. So without further ado, here is our conversation with Sabrina Schoenberg. Sabrina, thanks so much for joining us today. Where does this podcast find you?
I'm in Chicago.
Okay.
I'm actually at my parents' house right now.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, before we jump into all your incredible accomplishments and athletic pursuits and ballroom dancing and stuff, can you tell us what I hope I pronounced it correctly? Rhombencephalosynapsis is.
I am very impressed.
You got
I'm
it right?
like actually really impressed. It's Rhombencephalosynapsis. Yeah.
All right.
So basically, long story short, I'm missing a part of my brain. So I am missing a chunk of my cerebellum, which for those of you who don't know, the cerebellum controls literally everything: balance, coordination, emotional regulation, temperature controls, but like mainly focuses with the whole like balance, movement, coordination. They're doing more research now and it shows that like there is a big behavioral, emotional component to it. But yeah, so I'm missing a part of my brain and it affects me in a million different ways. I was one of the first documented diagnosed cases in America. Yeah, that's like the quick rundown, I guess.
How old were you when you found out that that's what you were dealing with?
Yeah, so technically I was born with it, but I was not technically diagnosed. It's like a dual story. So when I was 7 years old, my parents were like, "There is something wrong with our child," and we went to a bunch of different doctors, and finally a doctor looked inside my brain and was like, "Yeah, she's missing a part of her brain." But there wasn't a, because of like MRIs and stuff like that, but there wasn't a name for my condition. So between the years of like ages 7 to 14, my mom, who is the most amazing human being, just was doing research upon research upon research, found this condition called Rhombencephalosynapsis, was like, this checks out, every symptom matches, saw that there was a doctor in Seattle doing a study on it at Seattle Children's. And the hospital is like the one that like Grey's Anatomy is based off of. So
Mhm.
like that's just how big it is, to put that in your mind. She called, he happened to pick up on the first ring, which is wild because like the healthcare
Yeah.
system, the doctor doesn't pick up. It takes years to talk to the doctor. And then we flew out a week later, and 7 years later we had a name for it. So it's kind of like a whole progression, but it's been around Rhombencephalosynapsis for years. I just think that because of me growing up in the time where technology was getting better and MRIs are getting better, I just got, and I happen to be the one that they saw it in. So if you search Rhombencephalosynapsis on Google, you'll see a picture of my brain. It's like the first one that comes up.
Hey,
Well, okay. So I'll continue this. So that's you have this condition that affects your balance and your coordination.
Yes.
Yet you pursue a, a art form that
Yes,
requires
I'm
those things in
insane.
spades.
Yes.
So how does that happen? Because I think a lot of people would have heard that, but okay, well that's out.
Yeah.
So what made you make the decision to go into dance and performing arts?
Yeah. So when I was little, they all just thought it was like ADHD. I'm also partially blind in my right eye, which we knew when I was born. But my parents put me in everything just like every other parent. So I tried soccer, I tried acting, I tried all the different things. Soccer and sports wasn't my thing. Sorry, Dad. But like this little program called Babes on Broadway, where we got to like do theater and perform, it stuck. I felt like myself. And I was always, as a baby, whenever music would turn on, I would just lay on the floor, kick my feet, and dance on my back because I didn't really walk until I was around 3 to 4. And so we always knew there was like a music component to it. So when it was just a natural fit to go into theater, and I got to be someone else. My mom started ballroom dancing, and I would get to go with her to the dance studio after my doctor's appointments. I would leave school to go to doctors. Tell me if I'm like going all over. I'm like kind of
No, no.
nervous. So I would leave school to go to doctor's appointments. And the best part of that was I would get to go with her to her dance lessons after. And I just was enamored by everyone at the studio. They all were like family to me. I got to follow the owners and the managers around and help them. And it gave my mom like an outlet to like kind of let go and not have to worry about her daughter who they didn't know what was wrong, but she didn't have to worry about me because I was taken care of and having fun. And so I just fell in love with the community. And then so that's kind of how I got introduced to ballroom. And I've just always loved it ever since. And then my freshman year of high school, my parents finally let me take lessons. And it's been definitely a rocky journey, but I put my mind to it and I'm obsessed with it. And I've always kind of had that mentality of like, just go. When the music turns on, I'm like a different person. And it's also like, it's always kind of been like that. A story I recall is when I was little, my dad had jet skis, like wave runners. And so I would ride them. And like every dad, like he lets his little daughter just like drive it for a few minutes, like whatever. I was like 8. And I was going all over the place, swerving. All of a sudden, I started singing while I was driving, and I would drive straight. So there's always been some sort of musical connection. And yeah, I kind of just feel the most like myself when I'm able to perform or dance or work out and just kind of move.
Sabrina, you mentioned the rocky journey that it took to get into ballroom dancing,
Yeah.
and you also mentioned earlier that this disease you were born with, or it creates imbalance, like a balance and coordination issues. Like
Yes.
I think normal people like myself and Sean, like we often feel like we have balance and coordination issues because we're just uncoordinated, but it's such a different thing than what you're dealing with. So can you
Yeah.
describe a little bit of how you've had to compensate, adapt, however you want to describe it, to really become proficient at ballroom dancing?
Yeah, I first have to give a shout out to my incredible coach and mentor. He is become like a second dad to me, a big brother. His name is Andre Santori. He's also a phenomenal CrossFit athlete. You'll see him in the Masters game soon, I swear. But I could not have done it without him. He came into my life when I was around 8 or 9 because he worked at that studio my mom danced at. He was a new teacher, so he didn't really have a lot of students, so he kinda just played with me, and I just grew a connection to him. Years later, I came back to ballroom dance, and he wasn't my teacher because he was at the city school, so I had a different teacher who was phenomenal, he was great, but it was more fun. When I went to college in the city of Chicago, right near his ballroom studio, so I finally got to go back to him as a teacher, and the first thing he asked me is he was like, "Do you want to win? Do you want to try and be good, or do you wanna have fun?" And I was like, "I wanna win." Like, that and he was like, "You might not always like me." And I was like, "Okay, I'm fine with that." I love him, he's the best, but yes, there are times where I hate him. But he doesn't treat me like I have a disability, but he teaches for my brain, and I think that's kind of been a game changer. I come to the studio 5 days a week for about 2 hours, and he's figured out ways to teach my brain how to compensate for things I can't control. So, for example, I can't feel my legs all the time. So I wear fishnets so that way I can hear the sound of the fishnets rubbing together. or to work on spatial awareness, he put out like 4 chairs, and I would dance inside those 4 chairs to kind of understand my depth perception and where I am in space. Another thing is how I got into CrossFit. One of the things is my legs were really, really strong from dance, but my upper body was a little not great. So he was like, I need you to do, not because of my weight or anything like that, just because he wanted to help me be a better athlete. I need you to do more body weight exercises so that you can hold your own as a dancer. So that's a big thing. We do work a lot on balance, a lot of repetition, a lot of muscle memory, a lot of finding ways to kind of change the manual to help my brain compensate, if that makes
Yep.
sense. So it's been really fun and really interesting. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but yeah, it's been crazy. It's been a wild, wild road to just think about where I started my freshman year of college with him to now being a world champion is baffling to me, but it's awesome. And one thing that comes to mind that is really admirable is this year we had a new teacher come to our studio. And in ballroom, you dance with a partner. So I danced with my teacher, Andre. And he wanted me to split my dances. So now I do half with this new teacher, not because anything related to him or anything like that, but he wants me to show the world that I can do it on my own. It's not him that's giving me this success, that I can hold my own on a dance floor and dance with anybody. So that's been a really cool adventure and challenge as well, is now having these tools and doing them on my own.
You know what's interesting about your answer there for me, Sabrina, is Sean and I talk to a lot of CrossFitters, and Sean,
Yeah.
hold me accountable here if I'm wrong, but I feel like usually when we're talking to people about how they transitioned into CrossFit to accomplish something else, we're usually talking about heavy squats, heavy weights, deadlifts, running, jumping, that sort of thing. And in your case, I almost felt like your answer was right out of level 1, like you're using it for balance, coordination,
Yeah.
spatial awareness. Can you describe how you've used CrossFit for those specific things to help you be better at that part that you've now been able to transition over to ballroom dancing?
Totally. I mean, the easiest thing that I can think of is occasionally in ballroom dance, I'll do lifts and stuff like that. So it's really helped me hold my core and hold my center and not be like a sack of potatoes when I'm like jumping onto someone. So that's the first thing that is like the obvious thing that comes to my mind. I think it has really helped with, I mean, there's so many things. My balance from lunges, just to put example, it's grown like crazy. I don't know. I'm trying to like think of an exact answer because my CrossFit story of how I actually got into CrossFit and is kind of it's different. Like I started it as personal training and then I saw the adaptive division of the CrossFit Games and I'm kind of like a all or nothing type of person and like incredibly competitive. So I saw that and I kind of threw myself into it and I was like, "Oh, this is not the same as my once a week personal training." But I had a lot of success, so now I'm like obsessed. So I think there are a lot of crossovers. The discipline has been very helpful and the stamina feel like I'm giving you such terrible, terrible
Oh, no, no,
answers.
no. No, I think those are all things that we value in CrossFit. I mean, particularly for me, discipline and the stamina that comes from it is something I apply in my daily life. But the only disability I'm dealing with is ADHD. So
Yeah.
it's and low impulse control. I guess that's fine.
Those 2 things are me. I have no impulses.
Yeah,
And I don't think people understand like how hard dancing is. Like
Yes.
I did when I lived in Jacksonville, Florida. I was on local TV, and this was like right when Dancing with the Stars started. So
Yeah.
local dance studio wanted to do like a local Dancing with the Stars. So like that's how low the bar was. Like I
Do you
qualified.
remember what studio was with? Because
Oh, dang it.
Florida's a huge right
Guys,
there.
Jacksonville was, oh, I have to look it up. I can't remember.
Okay, I'm curious.
But anyway, so they asked me to do it. I'm like, you
Yeah.
got it. Right. So I remember going in, and my partner was the woman they paired me with was really, really good. Like yourself, all these awards. And here I am,
Thank you.
big dumb oaf that they're going to try to teach you to do this, right? I'm like, oh, this will be easy. I'm an athlete. I play hockey, football. I work out. I'll be fine.
Right.
And I got in there, and I think John Farrell's on that. Something.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm going to have the answer to that. So you got to say it again, Sean. You did Dancing with the Stars?
Yeah, it was Little Dancing with the Stars in Jackson, Florida. And I think it was 2006 or 7.
Is there video proof of this? Because I'm going to Google the hell out
I'm
of
gonna
it.
Google it after too.
Not
don't worry.
existent that does that. None that exists in a digital format. Thank God. So, like I said,
What's the TV station's call numbers? What's the TV station? Freedom of Information Act, baby. I'm requesting it.
Yeah. So anyway, God, I don't even know thank God, I don't think it's like this. But yeah, they asked me to do it. So I go in there. My partner's like really good, just totally accomplished dancer. I'm like, I am in way over my head, but still I thought like, I'm pretty athletic. I should be okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I think we should do a swing routine. I'm like, great, I can do a swing routine. I've seen the movie Swingers. I can do that, right? And so, honestly, I started. I was like, this is impossible. I can't do this. It was like a whole new way of moving, thinking. She did this one move where she's like, she figured out really fast. She goes, okay, you're a big dumb moron. So what we're gonna do is just have you do like we're gonna do a lot of lifts, things like that. I go, great. And the first thing she tried to teach me to do is where I don't know what the move's called, but it's like she like does a handstand, legs are here, and then it's like a roll. She drops them from.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I go, cool, let's try that. She's like, okay, I'm going to do this. We're going to go really slowly. And because I'm stupid, I need like very specific instructions on how to do this. So I'm literally like standing there going, okay, I'm ready. She does a handstand, her legs come at me, and I don't like, bring them in. They come right at my face, and it's like right on my forehead. There was just like this kind of like loud slap throughout the studio. And I was like, and she, after we got done laughing, she's like, okay, you need to sort of bring them in, and then we'll try from there. But like, I was tired. I was sweating my ass off. Like,
yes.
Hard. So I want people to understand from like how you make it look so easy, and that's what.
Thank you so much.
But I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, I just think that dancers need to deserve a lot more credit.
Totally.
As far as being athletes are concerned. But you talked a lot about like the adaptations that your coach had to make. Like,
yes.
I was going to ask you specifically about that, but like, what was that process like? Because I'm sure there was a lot of trial and error involving.
Yes.
Where okay, the chairs work. That's the thing.
Yeah. There has been years of trial and error and years of tears and anxiety attacks and like self-doubt, but we just keep going back and forth to the drawing board. And I think that's something that makes him unique as a coach too, is when he was presented with my situation, he was excited, and it made him a better teacher for all his other students as well, because now he has different ways of teaching different people, and he has really developed this whole system for other people, which I think is really, really cool. But yeah, it's been a lot. And I think something that I should also throw out is we compete against able-bodied people. Like, I'm not in a disability category. I'm not in a adaptive division. It's like me and him against other 24-year-olds who have perfect balance, perfect technique, can straighten their legs, can kick them to the sky. And I really am at a disadvantage because of my limitations, but we have somehow really figured it out. And I think I owe a lot of that to his work ethic and my work ethic and CrossFit, actually, because that's kind of his foundation as well too. He didn't grow up dancing. He grew up as an athlete. He got into dancing because he needed a job. He's like the manly man of mans, and now he's like this champion dance teacher. So his story is actually really unique, but there's a lot of parallels, I think. Yeah, did that kind of answer your question?
Yeah. I'm curious, Sabrina, it sounds like in your upbringing, your parents have thrown you into a lot of different athletic pursuits. And as a girl dad who has never let his daughters win a thing in their life, I've always kind of pushed them into the hardest thing they could possibly do because I knew it would prepare them. And it sounds like your family's a little similar. Can you tell us a little bit about that relationship with your family?
Yeah, I mean, I have the best family. My mom is my number one supporter. She has dedicated, I would say, 90% of her life to get me to where I am. I'm honestly, I would not be where I am today as a dancer, as a human, as a person, if it wasn't for the family that I have, because they, from the second I was born, has put me in therapies and PTs and got me medicine and got me to the right doctors to really survive. But my parents are both extremely athletic. Like I said, my mom was a ballroom dancer. She works out like 12 days a week. She was a cheerleader growing up. And then my dad is super athletic. He was like a 4-season athlete, whatever it's called in high school, where you know what I mean, in college.
Yep.
Played football. He did college stuff and is still super athletic. He did Spartan races and Tough Mudders and was training for American Ninja Warrior and then got hurt. So now he just plays pickleball. It's obsessed with pickleball. But we've always kind of been athletic. And even though the whole sports realm for me didn't work out as a little girl, and I kind of geared more towards the dance and performing arts, I would still do the Tough Mudders with him, Mudathlons, the Badass Dash, and they had a kids version called like the Bad Kid Dash. I would do that kind of stuff with him. We would do 5Ks growing up. So we've always kind of been like very fitness oriented. So yeah, it was just kind of a natural fit. And then when I got into CrossFit, it really excited my dad because he used to do this kind of stuff as well. And then he got a spinal surgery and like a neck surgery. So obviously he can't do this kind of stuff as much. So now getting to watch me do it has been really cool.
That's awesome. They think you're nuts for doing CrossFit, or are they into it as well?
Yes. My mom has had many conversations with me thinking I am going to get hurt and thinking I'm going to die. I've made her talk to Andre a bunch. I've made her talk to my CrossFit coach a bunch. My doctors don't necessarily. It's confusing because some of my doctors are like, CrossFit is the best thing for her, actually, because I have osteoporosis. And so it's really good for that. But then I also have a bunch of discs in my spine and in my back that are going to erupt. So it's also really bad for that. So they go back and forth. But I actually, because I'm missing that part of my brain and I never feel grounded, I feel the most grounded when I'm squatting or when I'm snatching, because the more weight I have on me, the more grounded I feel. And I actually feel on earth. And so it's been really cool. So the more success that they've seen me and how much I've been enjoying it, the more on board my mom has gotten. And my dad is just like, go do it. He loves it.
I love that you love snatching, because it's part of the level 1 that it's used for balance and coordination, and the
Mhm.
fact that that's something that's really beneficial to you, I think is a huge support for the methodology for people to hear that. We just often just take for granted that what we learn in these classes, like, okay, that makes sense, but we don't ever hear it as a practical application. And so
Yeah.
I think that's really, really cool that you're doing that.
Yeah. Well, what's also interesting is I've actually never been to a CrossFit class, which I kind of get embarrassed by saying, but I, my whole CrossFit journey has kind of been a little bit crazy. Like what I said is I was doing personal training 1 day a week. And then I went into this game stuff. And then I was like, oh, now I really, really want to do CrossFit. And then I had surgery and I switched coaches. And once I switched coaches, it's been skyrocket since. My coach Madeline is phenomenal. She's also going to be a games athlete. I can tell you that. But yeah, so because of my disability, it's hard for me to go to a CrossFit class because I don't have that perception. So if we're all doing double unders, I'm going to get hit with a jump rope or carrying barbells in these different spaces. I can't do that. I can't do all the typical stuff. And I need someone to watch me to make sure I'm doing it exactly how it needs to be done, because there are a lot of movements in CrossFit that if you do it wrong, it could be bad. So I need extra care and extra support. So it has been challenging because it all has to be kind of one-on-one style. And I think a lot of adaptive athletes have found that as well. And it's been hard with programming and stuff like that too,
Yeah.
because everyone is different. And I mean, I can go on and on about the neuro division with the adaptive games. That's a whole podcast in itself. But it's definitely been a challenge. And my coach is going to Croatia for 2 to 3 weeks for vacation, which is amazing. But me as an athlete is like, oh no, because that's 2 to 3 weeks where I'm like, shit, what do I do?
Right.
So it's been interesting, and it's been hard because I can't just like pick up a new coach for 2 weeks because they need to really understand my brain and how I work. And it's not like a typical situation, because some days I'm on and you would never know I'm disabled. And then there's other days where I'm a mess.
Yeah, no, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I mean, the affiliate that I belong to and have been going to for a number of years now has adaptive classes specifically around the neuro division.
That's
And
amazing. I
but
wish we had.
but it takes, you need the adaptive training certificates. You need a number, not one coach, you need multiple coaches to run it.
Mhm.
And to your point, those athletes are different every single time they walk in the door. I mean,
Right.
they're beloved by the affiliate. Don't get me wrong. Like this is the most fun, exciting class you would ever set foot in. But it has a very unique set of challenges, and you have to work with the coaches on a regular basis. So it makes sense that you couldn't just drop in at the drop of a hat. You need a very specific type
Yeah.
of coach that can do that. We need to find you one in Chicago because it's fun
Yes,
if you have the right one.
I would love that. I mean, my coach is amazing. Like, I'm still gonna continue to, like, she
Yeah,
is
yeah.
unreal, so great. But yeah, I would love to try and take some classes and things like that. And another thing that's interesting about the neuro division is there is such a range of what it means to be a neuro athlete, because if you think of like a wheelchair division or an amputee, it's very standard, like exact. They're all can essentially, I know everyone's situations are different, but they're all have the same quote unquote limitation. Like everyone's in a wheelchair, everyone can do blah 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 blah. It's pretty black and white. When you're dealing with a neuro division, it's all for the most part internal, I guess.
Yes.
So there's not as much cut and dry of what actually does that mean. Like when you go back and look at some of
Yeah.
the scores from like the semifinals and what the workouts are, the workouts between the major, moderate, and minor is ridiculous, is crazy. The minor workout was basically the same thing as the regular workout. And then the moderate division scores, some of these girls were doing heavies about in 1 minute. But then it's not clear. There's not a clear guideline.
It's such a tough division to program for.
Right.
And I think where it applies to you, where I'd be curious your insight on the thing I've heard from athletes in that neuro division is they often get hate because your disability is not visible. And so
Well,
you'll have someone that crushes a workout and they're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with her. She killed the workout. When in reality, you do have a disability.
so that's actually funny that you mentioned that. I don't know who we're talking to or if you heard something specific, but that was actually my situation this year. Is so last year, the first year I did CrossFit, I was in the major division for the CrossFit games. So I was a neuro major, and I actually did really, really well. I got 7th in the open, 7th in semifinals, and then made it all the way to the games. I couldn't go to the games because I was getting surgery, but my plan was to go this year and hopefully go all the way. And it comes down to the time, and they were like, sorry, we can't have you in this division. We don't believe you have a disability, essentially, is what I got. They took a look at my Instagram, and that's what their response was. We sent them all of the paperwork. My mom sent them documents upon documents upon documents. My PT sent them something. We took videos of me. We literally sent in thousands of different things, and their answer was literally based off of your social media presence. Like, hello, sorry that I'm trying to be this influencer content creator. Didn't realize that was going to impact my division for the CrossFit Games. I'm sorry I look the way I look. And I understand they see that I'm a dancer, but being a dancer with a dance partner is way different than carrying 300 pounds over my head. Obviously, I'm not carrying 300 pounds, but you know what I'm going to say. So it was very frustrating. And when we tried to appeal and when we tried to say, no, look, like I have this actual disability, they wouldn't budge. So I ended up doing the moderate division. I did way better than I expected. I did for the games, I think I got like 17th, which it was fine. You needed to be in the top 20 or for the open. Then for semifinals, I got 14th and you needed to be in the top 10. I was thrilled with 14th, but still it's really, really frustrating. And then when you go back and you look at the difference between the workouts, they're insanely different. There's no what am I gonna say? The programming didn't make a lot of sense. Like there needed to be, the moderate division needed to be a little bit more. The moderate division should probably have been the minor division, and there probably should have been a different moderate programming, if that makes sense. And I think that's hard too, because the people that are doing, and I could be wrong, the people that are doing the programming are not neuro athletes, most likely. So it's like, it's difficult. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so it is different than somebody who's in a wheelchair or is an amputee, because you can kind of figure that out from sitting in a chair. You could be like, okay, I can do this. Okay, I can do that. Okay. But yeah, you can't necessarily get into someone else's brain. So I think if you guys want an interesting look, go take a look at the open workouts and the semi workouts for the neuro divisions. And it's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Wooley team has a unenviable task of trying to program for so many different divisions and
totally.
And I think they run into the same thing you're describing. Like they're judging you based off of looking at your social media profile, but they run into the same problem of everyone else looking at your social media profile and judging them for letting one person in and not the other. But what I love about your story, Sabrina, is that you hit that obstacle, and much like everything else you've described to us, you said, you know what, I'm competing anyway.
Oh yeah, and I'm probably from now on, I'm going to stay in the moderate division. I could probably, if I really, really wanted to, I could continue to fight it, and probably, like, especially with the connections that I've made in the past few months, I could probably really fight it and get back into the major division. But it was a lot more rewarding getting 14th than getting 6th. And I like doing, for example, with Heavy Isabel, that was one of our semifinal workouts. And I had never snatched that weight before. And so it was my first time doing it. And the goal was to get, like, we needed to get 30 in this 10-minute time. We didn't think I was going to get 30. We thought I would probably get like 10. I got 28. So it's been super, super, super rewarding. So I'll probably stick to that division because I do also like a challenge. But it is really frustrating because when I look back, I'm like, oh, if I was in this major division, I probably could win. And then I'm like, well, I don't know if I want that. And then I'm in this moderate division. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be close to even qualifying. And I think that also shows the range of the divisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yes, I like a challenge.
You had me a little nervous when you said you had 300 pounds overhead. I was looking at Sean like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's
both have to work harder.
You mentioned something that I wanted to ask you about. It's if you deal with anxiety. That's a side effect of
yes.
of what you're dealing with. And the situations in which you put yourself competing against able-bodied people or
Yeah.
non-adaptive athletes in ballroom dance, having to compete in a division where you think that you're not, I don't know, I want to say not prepared for, but that is not appropriate for you.
Yeah.
All of those things have got to be sort of anxiety inducing as far as maybe I don't belong here, I have imposter syndrome, things like that. And that
Yeah.
gets out of control. How have you been able to deal with that?
Yeah. Well, that's something I'm still trying to figure out. My anxiety medicine is wonderful. I mean, it doesn't really work, but it's wonderful.
The name of
Also,
that for a friend. Yeah.
I don't. What do I take? I take sertraline, but I hate it. I going back really fast to the Wheelwad CrossFit stuff. I just want to say like Wheelwad is great. They are really, really trying.
Yeah.
I just think that there definitely needs to be more voices for the different divisions on the boards and stuff like that. And I don't think that's a huge ask. And then I also think like the reason why I am so like these workouts are so different is just because when you're taking into people who have all these issues, like if I drop one weight or if I trip or something, my life could be over. So it is very different than like a dance perspective.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I just wanted to stop and say that. But as far as anxiety goes, I have imposter syndrome almost every day. I was actually just talking to my CrossFit coach about this yesterday. Is like, I was like, why am I doing this podcast? Why do they want me? Like, I'm like looking back at the people that like you guys have recently just had, like Matt Frazier, and then the girl from the challenge and Survivor. My sister like lost her shit because she's obsessed. Sorry for my language, but she is obsessed with her and obsessed with the challenge and obsessed with Survivor. So I'm like, why me? I have like the most imposter syndrome. I'm so anxious when it comes to dance and competing against able-bodied people because it is really, really frustrating. Like I will compete against these people who maybe train once a week for 40 minutes and I go in, like I said, 5 days a week for 2 hours, if that, probably more, and I work on my own, and they'll just go in and they'll beat me when I should be astronomically light years ahead of them. And it is a lot of like frustration and anxiety. And I do have a lot of self-doubt about, am I doing the right thing with my life? Is CrossFit really where I should be doing? Why do these people want to talk to me? What makes me so great? Like, am the only reason why people want to work with me or why people think I'm talented is because I'm disabled? Would people think I'm just as good of a dancer if I didn't have this disability? Would I be achieving this much success if I didn't have this disability? There's so many unknowns, and I think that's been really difficult, and there's a lot of doctors that don't wanna help me. I've heard several people say, "We can't help your child because we don't understand her case." I remember my mom was talking to some doctor in the car when I was little, and obviously they didn't realize she was on speakerphone. They were like, "Sorry, we don't wanna help your daughter. We don't understand." And it's not a great feeling to have these major, major doctors, and we're talking like U Chicago, Northwestern, like big, big hospital systems say like, sorry, we don't understand. We can't help. So it's really, really frustrating. And it does cause a lot of anxiety. And just thinking about what my plan is for next year is terrifying. I'm hoping to go pro for dance. And obviously, like I said, the odds are against me. So there's a lot. It's a weird transition time in my life. I mean, anybody I think who has been in their early 20s and right out of college, you're like, what do I do with my life? I don't want to be an adult. This is so weird. And then you throw on everything else. It's definitely been a challenge.
I also don't want to be an
I
adult.
don't either. That's never,
Yeah. I'd like to tap out now if I could, please.
yeah.
Yeah.
To answer your statement though around why we wanted you on here, Sabrina, is you shouldn't have imposter syndrome. The thing that you have that a lot of people don't have that made you special for us for this is that you have a drive to overcome obstacles that are in your way. It isn't about your disability. It's just you have an obstacle that's in your way that you said, you know what, I'm not going to let that hold me back. Matt Frazier had the same thing, by the way, many
I
times
mean,
in his life.
we're
He talked,
almost the same person.
yeah, almost. You're basically identical.
I mean,
Basically,
basically.
yeah, you're like twins. But he had the same.
Exactly.
He overcame addiction. We talked about that on the show. He had an
Yeah.
incredible back injury in the early part of his career, and he overcame to become a 5-time CrossFit Games champ. It's like
Insane. Yeah.
he famously overcomes obstacles, and I thought that was interesting about your story when I originally saw you on Matt O'Keefe's page and had a
Yeah.
chance to kind of thumb through your social media profile. I immediately thought, wow, this is someone that's really driven
Thank you.
and finds a way to succeed in spite of very unique obstacles. And so, as someone who has imposter syndrome, I get on this podcast with Sean and I'm like, this guy knows what he's doing. I don't have a freaking clue.
Yeah, it's kind of all the
But
time.
yeah, you just got to get past that stuff because you've done so much in your life. You've certainly earned the right to feel proud of it. whatever
Thank
that's
you.
worth.
I really, really appreciate you saying that. And I just have to say, like, I owe a lot of it to my parents, my sister, my dance teacher, Andre. And as far as in the CrossFit world, my coach, Madeline, I really would not be able to do it without them. They've really been not just like helping me coach, but like really supportive and mentally there for me. So none of my success, I could do it alone.
Are you going to make
Yeah.
a run for the CrossFit Games? You're going to try to qualify?
Yeah, so that's the goal. I am gonna try and do it again. Now that I kind of know I'm most likely gonna be in the moderate division again, we're changing things up. Right now, I think I'm training for high rocks, like every other CrossFit athlete.
Right.
I'm still kind of torn about it because I don't really love running, which is a little bit of an issue
Yeah.
with high rocks. But Matt O'Keefe told me that they're doing it, and so he invited me to do it with them in Chicago. So I'm doing the adaptive division there, and I'm signed up to do Wadapalooza, the adaptive division for that as well. And yeah, I'm gonna try and continue with the games, and yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Chicago. I was going to say we should do it we should do it as a doubles, but you're going to do better without me. So
Probably not. I do technically get like a guide runner in the adaptive division, so you could do that with me.
I would be ecstatic to be your guide runner.
Great.
Yeah. Or actually, you know what? You should do it with my dad. I'm trying to get my dad to do it.
Well, I'll do that too. I mean, I was trying to
Yeah.
do a solo, but I have a solo coming up in Boston with the Hard Work Pays Off crew, by the way, with
Yeah.
O'Keefe and those guys. But I'm down for whatever in Chicago. I mean, I do
Oh
with
my
your
gosh,
dad,
yeah.
but I'd be totally honored to be your guide runner. Like that would
I
be
would
totally
love
fun.
that. Yeah. I mean, I have to talk to my coach because I think she was gonna maybe do it. But yes, you can do it with us.
She can do it. Hey, I'm not relishing an extra 8K run. So if somebody else wants to do it, let them do it.
It's not. It's like it's not even 8K. It's like I think it says it's like less than a lap.
Oh, well, then let Sean do it. He can run a 4K.
I actually do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in my wheelhouse, right? It's like, yeah.
I'm not
Unheard
quite
beating
sure. I have to
runs?
look back, but yeah, it's something like that.
No, you're
Yeah.
right. I'm pretty confident in the adaptive division. They make you do 1 lap instead of 2, and it
Yeah, like
typically comes
the
out to be
amount
about
in my the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend that's in, I think that's her division, actually.
Oh, really?
And I'm pretty confident. I could be wrong, but I think it is. Anyway, she did a race not that long ago, and that was what she had to do. She had a guide runner, and we basically did 1 lap. It took her like an hour 15. So it was
Okay.
kind of a really good example of adaptation, though, how the stimulus and the time domain should be about the same for people that are able-bodied doing the full.
Yeah.
And she did great. I think she won her division, if I remember right. And she said it was incredibly challenging, but she was doing like 450, 500 meter laps. And that's a lot when you add it up over 8 rounds and everything else in between. It's definitely not a softball pitch, to say the least.
I think what worries me the most about it though is we do it at the same time as everybody else. So I can't run a straight line. Like if you watch me walk or if you watch me run, I go like this. So it's just gonna be like
Just
hitting people.
Mhm.
So I think that worries me the most. But we'll see. It's been difficult because I keep looking for the information online and there's not much listed on their website. So we've been in contact with the the adaptive people, and they've kind of given us more input. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I like adventures, so
Yeah, don't worry about the crowd. They have a fast lane and a slow lane. The fast lane's on the
perfect.
slow lane's on the outside. As long as you stay to the outside and keep your guide runner to your
Okay,
left, no one's going to hit you.
awesome,
Yeah, you'll be fine.
perfect,
What
perfect.
can you tell us about your foundation and how that started and what it does?
Yeah, so I have the Sabrina Schoenberg RES Foundation. If you guys want to learn more about my disability and learn more about my foundation, go to sabrinares.com. It will kind of tell you more in detail and more thorough about what I deal with and all of that kind of stuff. But basically, like I said, what I have is so rare. No one knows about it. Except funny story of how I actually got in touch with Matt O'Keefe is because he knows someone who has my disability, which is bizarre. But yeah, so I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family that had money. And if it wasn't for my circumstance of my parents being able to afford all these therapies and all these doctors, I would not be where I am today. And there are a lot of families who aren't in my shoes who can barely just survive, especially with medical bills and stuff like that. So it was always my goal to make a foundation to one, raise awareness about my condition and about silent disabilities, because I could talk for hours to you about how there's nothing in the media about silent disabilities and how many times I've been told, you're not disabled, you look really normal, you're too pretty to be disabled, blah, 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 blah. So that's a whole part of it. And then also to help provide resources for these families to learn more, to like help pay for doctors and extracurricular activities like dancing and therapies and swimming to help these kids still have some sort of normal of a life. So when I graduated college, everyone was asking me, what do you want for college graduation? What do you want for college graduation? And I was like, you know what? This is the perfect time to start my foundation. This has been a dream of mine since I was a little girl. So I ended up just asking for money essentially to go towards my foundation. And in May of 2023, is that when I graduated? Oh my God, it's been so long since I graduated. That's wild. I started my foundation and we've helped like 10 people since, which is crazy. I know that number doesn't seem very big, but it is when you think about my actual disability. And then we've been trying to help other people that have just other types of disabilities as well recently. So in Florida, actually, in Fort Walton Beach, there's a Fred Astaire that is trying to do like a disability special needs program for dancing, and so we just gave money to that because that's really, really important to me. So yeah, it's been really cool to help these people. We've been helping this family pay for their gymnastics every month, so gymnastics class, so that this kid can go to gymnastics and have some sort of fun activity. We've helped pay for swim lessons. We've helped get surgeries done. We've helped buy a bed for a family that needed a special bed. So it's been really rewarding.
That's amazing, Sabrina. And
Yeah.
for the record, 10 people is a lot. Like I
Thank you.
recognize that it's easy to say, hey, 10 as a number isn't a lot, but you think of the impact that
Yes.
what you're doing has on that family. Like that's a lifetime. It's generational change. That isn't
Right.
just this one person. Like that changes them forever.
Yes.
I can tell you story after story of families of these adaptive athletes that come into my affiliate. Here, I'll tell you one that this is where it really struck home for me. We have several athletes that have Down syndrome and autism.
Yeah.
And there's this one young woman, she's got Down syndrome. And every time she comes in, she will ask the coaches, what'd you have for dinner last night? And it's really cute and funny. And they'll tell her and
Yeah.
they'll go, what did you have? And when she started coming to the gym, she would go, oh, I had mac and cheese. I had peanut butter and jelly. Like those were kind of typical foods
Right.
for young people. After she got really active in CrossFit and started taking being an athlete seriously, when she would come in, they'd go, what'd you have for dinner last night? And she'd go, I had baked salmon and rice.
Yeah, she did.
And I started, and it occurred to me then the change we were making, yes, was happening to her and her body and her health, but it was changing her family because families don't make salmon for one person and everybody else eats mac and cheese, that means everyone in the household is now eating healthier.
Right.
And that's the kind of change you're making for people, Sabrina. Like, that's really amazing.
I would love to also continue to talk to you about maybe starting some sort of adaptive program in Chicago. That would be awesome because Chicago is one of the biggest cities. There's so many gyms and there's like nothing. There is one in Mokina, I think, but that's a suburb that's like hours away. So it's, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that would be an awesome thing to start talking about. But that's incredible. Your story about like the feet. That's awesome.
We'll clip this out as a shout out to the people who live in Chicago. If anybody has an affiliate that has an adaptive program or
Yeah.
somebody that wants to start one, we'll get them connected to you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And you guys can catch up on that.
I remember talking to Logan Aldridge about this and about adaptive programs and why I think sometimes coaches and affiliate owners, they're like, that is a problem I don't even know how to touch. That is way over my head. And he had something that sticks with me to this day when I think about that. He says, listen, if you've ever had an injured athlete in your class, you had an adaptive athlete.
Yeah.
Well, why that? Like, I was like, okay, yeah. Like, it's just how do you work around that? And I think that so if there are any affiliate owners, coaches out there who are like, I can't. That's way above my ability. It really isn't because you have dealt with it in the past. You just didn't know it.
Well, I think that's actually interesting that you say that because that brings up two other interesting points. Is when thinking back to the neuro division, I was talking with my dance coach, Andre, and we were trying to figure out, okay, how do you determine who can be in this division, but just based off of the rules alone? And he was like, yeah, I guess I could get injured and all of a sudden I have a nerve issue and now I'm competing against you. So you can be these top tier major Matt Fraser athletes. And then he all of a sudden has to get a little back surgery. And now he's a neuro athlete competing against these people that were born with these severe medical issues. So there is a lot of like, who is where, you know what I mean? And also, I mean, I can only speak for me personally, but a lot of the times, like, I don't just want to be clumped into being an adaptive athlete. Like, I view myself as an athlete. Yes, I have a disability. And yeah, like, most likely, I'm only going to be able to compete in these adaptive divisions because, like I said, the odds are not necessarily in my favor. But I have had the experience with dance of I don't compete in the adaptive division. I compete against everybody else. So I deal with that kind of struggle a lot of like, do I want to call myself an adaptive athlete and search for these adaptive classes? Or do I try and fit in as best as I can? And I think that's also been an issue with like local CrossFit competitions is I'm like, well, there's not technically a division I can do because there's not an adaptive division. Yeah, they can make one, but like, I don't want to compete against myself. And then I guess I can try and do the scale division, but still there are a lot of things in the scale division I can't do. And then I've been like, okay, well, I could do a partner workout with my coach. And then I'm like, well, in a way that's like kind of not fair because my coach is like an RX athlete who could probably win the RX division and then is doing this scaled workout with me. So I think there's so many, and that goes back to the anxiety part of it too, of like, where do I belong? I'm too disabled to be normal and I'm too normal to be disabled.
I think there's a misconception sometimes that disabled athletes or doing adaptive workouts is easier than doing traditional able-bodied workouts. And I've been to Woolland, and I can tell you definitively from watching it, they're not easier. As a matter of fact, if anything, the Woolland workouts, the adaptive division is much harder than what able-bodied athletes work around. And they just deal with it in such a matter-of-fact way. That same friend of mine I mentioned, I saw her at Woolland. And
do they have like an actual gym?
Well, this one was if I remember right, was in Raleigh, North Carolina. So this was the actual Woolwide Games at the time.
Got it.
The CrossFit Games. But the workout they were doing was they were running laps basically and doing box jumps. and it sounds like she has similar issues you do. She can't run in a straight line, and she often trips. And I watched her face plant. I'm not exaggerating. 4 times in a row, 4 different laps,
Yeah.
right on the concrete, no padding. When she's done, her hands are all bloody, her knees are scabbed up. And so I go to talk to her, and I didn't even know her at the time. I'm like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, Why wouldn't I be?" I'm like, "You fell 4 times. Like,
She's like,
are
oh,
you okay?" Yeah,
okay.
she's like, "This is my everyday life. This is
Right.
it. This is what I
Right.
do." And it just occurred to me in that moment that for her, it wasn't about the obstacle of falling or getting around that, although she cleared to deal with it. She was just completing the workout like the rest of us. And it was just a really
Yeah.
hard workout. It was just so impressive to me and highlighted to me that we often think it's different, and it
Yeah.
isn't. It's the same thing with kind of different parameters.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. I would love if you don't mind me asking, who you can send this to me after, but who is your friend? I'm always looking for more like adaptive athletes who have a similar condition to mine so I can look to them or have someone to look to because I don't really have that many adaptive like friends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I met
No,
one who is in the male neuro division named Matt Harrow, who has an amazing podcast. Actually, if you don't mind me shouting out,
yeah.
he was my first CrossFit podcast called The Adaptive Athlete, and he interviews all these adaptive athletes who've done the CrossFit Games and all that kind of stuff. So that's a really interesting listen to
Yeah.
after you listen to this whole podcast.
I'll connect you guys via Instagram. Sydney Peterson is her name.
Okay.
She does health coaching and competes all the time just to hire them stuff
Actually,
along
I
with it.
might have been somebody else might have connected me with her.
Yeah,
That
she's great.
sounds so familiar.
So such a
Yeah.
good athlete and a similar mindset to you, like just kind of pushes through like whatever's in front of her and just always blown away at anyone that can push themselves hard. But in her case where she's overcoming some pretty big obstacles, it's just even more impressive to me because
Ye
I give up on a run on my assault runner over here when I'm just starting to feel a little sweaty. I'm like, I just don't,
Yes.
I'm not feeling it today. Like that's how I
Yes.
get. And then I just take the day off.
Hey, well, Sabrina, what's coming up next for you? You mentioned you wanted to go pro, but what's on the
Yes.
calendar?
So in September, I have a dance competition. And then I have nationals in Florida for dance. So if you're still in Florida, I'd love to see you guys. So I'll be in Orlando for that.
I'm in California now, so
Oh, never mind then. So I'll be in Orlando for dance. And then I am doing High Rocks, like I mentioned. I'm doing Wadapalooza, so I'll have the like, videos for that, the video workouts. And then something else that is really, really exciting, and you guys might need to cut this out. I'll confirm with my mom if that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
But they're making a documentary on me. So that's really, really exciting.
all right.
So we're working on that, which is gonna be great. So yeah, I just have to figure out if that's public yet. So that's gonna be really, really exciting. And then the goal is in January to go pro for dance and be a professional ballroom dancer, which basically means I would get a pro partner. I would still train with my teacher. He would still coach me, but I would not compete with him anymore. I would be in a higher division. I can make money then as a dancer. And then of course, still continuing to train for CrossFit and try and make it to the games. I would love to win eventually, do more like actual CrossFit competitions because I haven't done an in-person one and it's killing me to do so. And then mainly I just want to continue to raise awareness about silent disabilities and RES and my condition and help make adaptive programming for CrossFit. I think being able to help do that and maybe somehow join Wheel Wad would be awesome. And yeah, just I'm really grateful as well to I'm like going all over the place, but I'm really grateful to Matt O'Keefe for kind of connecting me with all of these amazing people. He is such an amazing guy, and I got connected to him by fate, and it's been crazy. I mean, I'm so grateful for him, and he is such like a supporter. And yeah,
Yeah. Let's not inflate O'Keefe's ego
Yeah,
any deeper.
he already thinks so. He's already like an egomaniac. No,
But you can only have one bald egomaniac on the show at a time.
exactly.
Almost always going to be me. If someone wanted to donate or learn more about your foundation, where would they find that?
Yes. So go to Sabrina SabrinaBlairRes.com, and you will find everything there. And then you can also go to my Instagram, Sabrina Blair 425, and you can kind of look at all my stuff there. Again, just need to shout out my coaches, Muscle by Mads and the Extra and Extraordinary, Andre Santori and Madeline too. They're the best. But yeah, you can kind of find all my stuff there.
That's great.
Sabrina, this has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and just really enjoyed this hour. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in Chicago.
Yes, I'm so excited. You got to
maybe
come
get-
to work out with us. You can come to our gym. I know my coaches, Andre and Madeline, I told them about the possible opportunity to get to work out with Matt, and now you. And so they're very excited about it.
I'm not going to work out in a room with Matt Frazier.
Yeah.
I don't. No, he is like, I'm not going to put in that kind of effort. He'd have to change the name from Hard Work Pays Off to What the Hell is this guy doing?
Totally.
Like,
Totally.
we can't do it. But
At least
listen,
it already has its benefits. That would do.
all right. Well, Sabrina, thanks for joining. We appreciate
Thanks,
you being
Sabrina.
on today.
Thank you guys so much.
All right. We'll chat soon. Dude, she was great.
That was awesome. Like, I think there's so much relatability there with the way that she's overcome obstacles and things like that. And I think that everybody deals with imposter syndrome. Everybody deals with anxiety. Everybody deals with a sense of wanting to belong, right? And I think to hear the way that she has handled that, and she has plenty of excuses to not to, I think should be inspiring to other people. That listen, if you go into a room and you have imposter syndrome, you're not alone, right? You can do these things. Like, you're just as good as everybody else. Like, it's good to hear someone, like I said, who has plenty of excuses to not be a ballroom dancer, to not do CrossFit, to not do all this stuff, do it. And then, I don't know, that made me feel pretty cool.
She's basically the same age as both of my daughters. I feel like going upstairs, I'm like, you guys need to work harder.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's your excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Both of you guys need to step it up.
Yeah.
No, I found it really, regardless of age, just this whole concept of overcoming obstacles and not letting anything get in your way. I think it was the point in the story where she was mentioning that she couldn't compete in one division. She was just like, all right, well, screw it. I'll go do the other one. Where I think most of us, myself included, would just like, well, if I can't do what I want, I won't do it at all. You know?
Exactly.
And I think that's such a powerful lesson for people to understand that it isn't always about winning and losing. It's just about getting out there and doing it and seeing what you're capable of and learning what you can do.
Yeah. And the obstacle thing too is really resonates with me, that, you know, specifically right now, it's like, you're going to be faced with things in relationships, in your everyday life, in your professional life. And it's how you deal with it and how you overcome it. Everybody goes through it.
Yep.
Like, no one has a clean run, you know, nobody. And I don't care if someone who's like the most successful person in the world, that person didn't have a clean run. And it's like, how you deal with that is going to define you for like your entire life.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. My hairline had a clean run, for whatever that's worth.
I did, man. I had a hell of a decade in the 80s. That's for sure. Like, it was.
We need to, I think on one of these shows, we need to pull photos of us with hair.
Oh God, I have a couple. It's just embarrassing. It's like, that's probably why I don't have it now. Is the hair god's way. You abused your privileges. Out.
I was thinking the other day how lucky I am that all of my hair loss happened prior to cell phones. So there are not a lot of photos of me.
There's a few of me, like, God, I hung on to that too long.
Yeah, I have a photo of me and Neuro when she was a baby. So this would have been 24 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had a partial head of hair at the time, all the hair. And when I look at it now, I'm like, oh my God, like I should have started shaving it then.
I should have. Yeah. I really, I was about probably 7-8 years too. I hung on to it. I think it's because I was on TV too, right? Again, I just didn't want to. Yeah, I should have done that.
We all do. And I'd like to go on record that we're not comparing hair loss with the real disability that Sabrina talked about.
No, it's much worse. Hair loss is
much worse. Talk about imposter syndrome. Every time I
live in a silent hell every day.
When I was at the games last week with you, and I was looking at your co-host and his big full head of hair, I was having major imposter syndrome. Going, man, Chase is too pretty, and that head of hair is just making me incredibly jealous.
Yep.
And that's where my imposter syndrome comes in at this point in my life.
Absolutely. Same here. I'm like, God, why are you next to this guy? He makes like, it's just a stark contrast. Thank God they didn't put us on camera.
Well, it's mostly, I was going to say, it's mostly audio for the age group game. So I guess you got off.
Right. Yeah. So that was nice. But when it's not, I'm like, And really? Okay.
We never really debriefed that much. We don't need to do a ton here, but did you have a good time? Did you
I had a
enjoy
great
it?
time. I had a great time. That event is like, and I've said this a couple times, and I don't mean to take away or diminish what's going on the floor, right? Because it
Mhm.
matters. It's competition, but it is a lot more laid back, the atmosphere, because I think it is mostly a family and friends event. And I think the marquee events in CrossFit, the games, Rogue, Wadapalooza, like they all have their specific thing. Like Wadapalooza is this gigantic party community event. Rogue is a professional strongman CrossFit event where they blow it out of the water. Like in the games obviously have their thing too. But the age group, and I think Bob and now Brock and the crew at Pit Throwdown
Yeah.
deserve a lot of credit for really like leaning into this we're a community event, family and friends. We're gonna make it small and intimate. We're gonna do a good job of putting on a good competition. We're gonna have a decent stream. It wasn't the highest level that we were dealing with production wise. Like we had some limitations that we had to deal
Sure.
with, but it was fun. Like it was really fun. And what's also nice too is that like you get people come up to you like, oh my God, you said my name on the broadcast last night. Like
Right.
that like to me, that's, I mean, okay, I'm glad that made your day. But like that kind of stuff, you don't really get that at the games. Not that I expect that, but it's just nice. It's a cool, fun community event.
I can't tell you how many of those athletes, this is true. You're going to think I'm making this up, but this is 100% true. I bet I had half a dozen, maybe 10 people. I guess I'm talking to athletes that I didn't know. I don't know any of these people, but they know you and I are friends. And they all say the same thing. What's it like talking to Sean Woodland? Because you have that iconic voice and people
Oh,
like they all ask the same question. Does he talk like that in person or is that like a stage voice? I'm like, no, that's his voice. Like he just like, that's just how he talks. Just made me laugh every time they asked.
first with it.
It was great. And I got to meet Dave Castro. So that
Yeah,
was
it was
fun.
great. The world is healing. This is going to be a turning point in human history.
Well, I'll tell the story here because I know not everyone has heard it. I mostly just put it into text form on my page, but Patrick Clark, I ran into him and we were just chatting. He's like, Dave's here. I'm like, is he? He's like, yeah, he's right over there. You want to meet him? I'm like, of course. Like, why would I not want to meet Dave Castro? Just for the fun factor for me, I would just wanted to see the look on his face. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't think he'd be mad at me. I just thought it would be surprising that I was willing or wanted to meet him. So Patrick walked me over and Dave was talking to someone. Patrick calls his name and he turns around and he looks at me and he gets that big Dave Castro grin that
Mhm.
we've all seen. It's that same one you see on the open workouts, which
Yeah.
was a little surreal. It's kind of like people asking me about your voice. Like when you see it in person, it's a little startling. It's
Mhm.
very white and very big. And he walks over and he immediately shakes my hand and he goes, "Have we ever met in person before?" Is the first thing he said to me. And I'm like, "Yeah, you kicked my ass in a trail run and I'd like a rematch. I think I'm a better runner now than I was then." And so we talked a little bit about the time I was at HQ. And then he almost immediately goes, "I don't know why I blocked you." And I laughed. And he's like, "But I'm not going to unblock you now." And he goes, "Because I think it's funny." And I'm like, "I think it's funny too, Dave." I'm like, "That's the common misconception. It gives me street cred. Please do not unblock me. It takes the joke away."
Yeah.
And he laughed. And I go, "Can I get a picture?" And he's like, "Of course." To which Patrick, very smartly, because he knew I was going to, goes, "He's going to post this on his page, don't you?"
Yeah.
Like kind of warning Dave. And again, to Dave's credit, he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like he knew I was going to.
Yeah.
So I was impressed, one, at his kindness and the fact he knew I was going to poke fun at him and he still wanted to be a part of it. I just thought it was really nice and just kind of a good moment for everyone.
Yeah.
And to your point, a lot of people said the same thing. "Oh my God, the world's healing." Dave and
Yes.
John talked.
Hey, well, it's an example of, and then we can end this. It's an example of getting people in a room and talking to each other. What a difference that makes than just firing barbs on social media when you don't have to actually interact and see the person, right?
Yeah.
Like so credit to you, credit to Dave. I'm glad that was a nice little moment that I think we all brought people together and gave him a good chuckle. So,
Well, you don't need to give me credit. I did it as a goof, but
yeah.
credit to Dave.
All right, I'm trying.
I mean, I had everything to gain and nothing to lose. And Dave had everything to lose and everything to gain. And to his credit, he stuck right into it. And I got to be honest, like I'm impressed by that. I always am. I'm impressed by people willing to kind of step outside their comfort zone and go, "Hey, I'm going to do this, even though I know it might not end the way I want it to end." And yeah, so I was just really grateful and it was fun. So,
All right.
well, good times, man. Great talking to you today, as always. For everyone listening, we'll be back next week at some point, and I guess we'll see you next Tuesday.